The attic held the quiet dust of decades, thick and soft as gray velvet in the moonlight filtering through the single cobwebbed window. Silas, his movements slow with the careful economy of age, navigated the familiar labyrinth of forgotten furniture and shrouded shapes. His hands, etched with the valleys and ridges of 80 winters, sought the familiar corner where memories weren't just stored, but seemed to breathe tonight. The silence felt heavier, an invisible shawl woven from absence. He reached for an old steamer trunk, its leather cracked like ancient parchment, releasing a sigh of cedarwood and time. When he lifted the lid, nestled within layers of yellowed tissue paper lay his purpose, a simple, cloth-bound notebook. Its blue cover faded to the color of a winter twilight. Across its surface bloomed a constellation of dark, distinctive ink stains. Accidental constellations mapping forgotten moments. He carried the notebook downstairs like fragile glass, settling into his worn armchair by the window overlooking the sleeping garden. The familiar weight felt both comforting and achingly heavy. Opening it felt like breaching a sacred seal. Elara's handwriting sprang from the page, a vibrant, looping script that defied the years, each curve and flourish an echo of her boundless energy. It was her secret poetry journal, a place where her thoughts, too bright or too tender for everyday speech, found sanctuary in ink. Silas traced a particularly large, star-shaped ink stain, marring the edge of a page, describing the scent of honeysuckle on a June evening. He remembered that afternoon vividly, her frustrated cry as the bottle tipped, the shared laughter that followed, the way she dramatically waved the page in the air, declaring the stain gave the poem character. Her laughter seemed to shimmer in the quiet room now, a ghostly counterpoint to the profound silence. He began to read aloud, his voice a low murmur in the stillness, giving breath to her dormant words. Poem after poem unfolded: odes to the stubborn crocus pushing through snow, laments for a fallen baby bird found in the garden, joyous celebrations of the first ripe tomato of summer. Her world, observed with such fierce tenderness and vibrant curiosity, bloomed anew in the lamplight. He reached a poem titled simply Silas at dawn, describing him watching the sunrise, the silver streaks in his then dark hair catching the light like threads of captured moonlight, the intimacy of her observation, the depth of her quiet love laid bare on the page, tightened his throat. He could almost feel her presence beside him, a warmth against his arm, smelling faintly of lavender and the ink she always seemed to have on her fingers. Turning another page, his finger brushed a different kind of stain, not the sharp black of ink, but a faint, translucent circle, its edges slightly puckered. A tear, his own or hers? The poem beneath was shorter, raw. It spoke of a deep, unnamed fear, a shadow passing over the sun, a chilling premonition of silence. It was written months before the diagnosis, before the world tilted irrevocably. Seeing her fear articulated, knowing what followed, was like receiving a message across an impossible gulf. A single tear escaped Silas's eye, tracing the familiar path down his papery cheek, mirroring the stain on the page. He hadn't known she carried that particular shadow so early. The echo of her unspoken dread resonated painfully in his chest. He closed his eyes, leaning his head back against the chair. The room was filled with her now, not just the memory, but her essence. He heard the phantom rustle of her turning pages, felt the gentle pressure of her head resting against his shoulder as they used to read together, smelled the comforting, familiar scent of her hair. The ink stains on the notebook cover seemed to glow softly in the lamplight, no longer accidental blemishes, but badges of their shared life, testaments to moments lived fully, messily, and with love. They were anchors, tethering her vibrant spirit to the physical world she'd left behind. The profound loneliness that had filled the house for years receded, replaced by a deep, resonant companionship woven from words and shared history. Silas opened his eyes, looking out at the moonlit garden, seeing it now through Elara's poetic gaze. The silvered leaves, the deep velvet shadows, the silent, watchful trees. He understood she wasn't truly gone. She lived in the ink stains that marked their shared laughter, in the echoes of her words reverberating in his heart, in the very perception of beauty she had gifted him. She was in the persistent honeysuckle outside the window, in the quiet courage of the dawn, in the enduring love that transcended the final silence. The notebook wasn't just a relic. It was a conversation that never truly ended, a lullaby sung across time. He held the book gently against his chest, feeling the steady, comforting rhythm of his own heartbeat beneath the cover imprinted with her accidental constellations. The profound ache of missing her physical presence remained, a familiar hollow space yet. It was now filled with a luminous warmth, the undeniable sense of her nearness, the attic's dust, the garden's moonlight, the quiet hum of the night. They were no longer empty, they were filled with Elara, whispering through inkstains and echoes, a love story written not in grand gestures, but in the enduring, messy, beautiful details of a shared life. The lines between memory and presence blurred completely. He knew, with a certainty that settled deep into his bones, that he would carry this feeling with him into sleep, and into every dawn that followed. The final silence wasn't absence. It was simply a different kind of listening, a space filled with the everlasting murmur of her love. He took a deep, slow breath, the scent of lavender and old paper mingling, and let the peaceful certainty of her enduring presence finally, gently, lull him towards sleep.